Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to work on our last function for DNA Toolkit. And this is going to conclude our work on DNA Toolkit. In the next 2 to 3 videos, we're going to refactor our DNA Toolkit as I mentioned in my last video. That means we're going to wrap all of our functionality into a nice class, add RNA support, add FASTA file reading support, maybe even a database queries as well, where we can pull down the information of the protein we find from a database. So let's go back to our code editor. So the last thing we did, we wrote protein from a reading frame function. So if we're going to run that again, that's where we left off last time. All right. Today we need to generate proteins from all of the reading frames. Let me get rid of this. Okay, and let's go back to DNA Toolkit. So our last function needs to do just 3 basic things. It is not going to introduce any new code. We're going to reuse our previous functions. So it needs to do just 3 things. It needs to generate all reading frames by calling our function here. Then it needs to extract all of the proteins from those reading frames by using this function here. And the last thing is it just returns the list of proteins it finds, and we can specify a sorted or unsorted list. Okay, so let's get to it. I'm going to copy and paste this now from my snippets again with some extra information in the comments. So this function will compute all of the possible proteins from all reading frames. We can then use a database to see if our function works. In the future, we might use NCBI API to access protein database and basically add this functionality to our DNA Toolkit to search for proteins and match them against the database. Okay, so let's go through this function first. Here, we are generating reading frames. Again, we are using this function, gen reading frames, but we are just adding one check. This function accepts a sequence, a start reading position, and the end reading position. And we just want to scan a small part of that. We can specify the start and end reading position. And this flag here is set to false by default, and it's ordered or unordered list. It's easier, for example, if we have, let's say, 15, 20, 35 different proteins generated, and they are in a random sequence. Some of them are short, some of them are long, and it's all kind of mixed together. It's hard to read. So we're going to be able to order that list to have a nice structured output. So that's what we do here. We are checking if the end position is larger than a start position, meaning we have specified a range that we want to generate reading frames from in our sequence. So that's what it does, right? We are using a string slicing right here. If this condition is false, we are going to generate 6 reading frames from our whole sequence. Again, here we are just checking if we are interested in generating reading frames from the whole sequence, or we are specifying a range to slice from that sequence and then generate reading frames from that sequence. Then we are creating an empty list that is going to accumulate all the proteins we find. So this for loop handles protein generation. It goes through this reading frames list, and for each reading frame, it generates a protein from RF by calling this function right here, right? And appends it to that list. And in the end, we are just doing one last check. Do we want our output ordered? If yes, then we are using Python built-in function sorted. We are giving it a list that we want to sort. We are giving it a key len, meaning we want to sort by length specifically. You might be able to sort by an alphabetic values on some other values, but here we're just saying please sort that list by the length of entries. And then a reverse key here will make sure that the list that is returned to us after being sorted is from the longest string to the shortest string. By default, if we are not going to specify this, the list is going to start from the shortest string to the longest string, okay? And we want the other way around. We are interested in the longest sequences. And then we just return that list. So let's go back to our main file and add our last 10th output. And here it is. We are just using a for loop here. We are calling our function that returns a list, And we are passing those three parameters. We're giving it a sequence, DNA string. We are telling it to start from 0 and end at 0, meaning we are not using any slicing. And we are saying, please sort it for us. Okay, so we are ready to run our function right now. Let's actually uncomment this as well so we can see the reading frames as well. Okay, let's try running our code. Because this is a randomly generated string, again, we are generating our DNA string here, which is not a real biological sequence. It will be hard to come across a sequence that looks like a protein. Let's try running it a couple of times and... Alright, so we got lucky on our second run and we have this generated for us. Okay, let's look at the best way of testing our function by applying a real biological sequence. Let me switch to the browser now. Alright, so let's take a look at NCBI, National Center for Biotechnology Information. Let's try getting an amino acid sequence that codes for some particular protein, look up the database and see if our code actually finds that protein. This is definitely the ultimate test for our code. So we can go here where it says all databases. We can have this drop-down menu here. And we are interested in nucleotides because our DNA toolkit is actually scanning for nucleotides, right? Now we switch to nucleotides and let's search for a protein that codes for Homo Sapiens Insulin. Okay, so these are the results we have. Let's scroll down and you'll see that I've played around with some of these sequences before. Let's use this Homo Sapiens Insulin transcript variant 1 mRNA. Of course, you can search for any protein you want and apply our code to the sequences here. So this is what we have. We can scroll down here and there should be a translation part. Sorry, it's here. Yeah, translation. So this is the protein. Okay, so let's take a look at the amino acid sequence that codes for this protein and see if our code, again, can find this protein. We can scroll to the top here. And here's a FASTA file right here. Let's click FASTA. And here it is. That's the label for that particular Homo Sapiens Insulin sequence. And here is its sequence, DNA sequence. We can actually copy and paste that into our structures. Let's go back to our code. Okay, let's switch to structures and paste that in here. So that's the sequence from the database. That's the DNA sequence. And we can try searching for that protein, that sequence right now. So how can we do that? We're going to go back here. Let's again get rid of all the other outputs. Now, instead of using our DNA string that we generated randomly right here, let's use a real biological sequence we just found on the database. Again, we stored it in our structures. Here it is. So it should be accessible in here too. So let's start typing NM, and here it is. And let's try running this right now. All right, so we did find some proteins here. Some of them look more like a real protein. Some of them, of course, don't. Now let's go back to the database. Let's go back again and look at that sequence that it should code for. Here it is. Let's do it by hand in this case. Let's copy it. So that's the protein we should be able to find with our code, right? So here is that sequence that we copied from a database. So one of these should be that. So let's search for it. I'm going to switch to this bottom window here, Control F to search, and I'm going to paste that line here into it. And here we go. We found a match. So the first protein actually matches what is in that database, NCBI database. So congratulations. Your code actually works. It can find proteins in DNA sequences. You can play around with different sequences from that database and see if you can find some other proteins. Okay, so this concludes our work on DNA Toolkit. I really hope you enjoyed the journey and you learned a lot by writing the DNA Toolkit from scratch. Now you have this very cool functionality and you can apply it to search for proteins in real biological sequences. As I mentioned again, in our next upcoming videos, we are going to wrap this whole DNA Toolkit functionality into a nice class. We're going to add a couple of more things like RNA support, different codon notation support, and some other small things. We are going to be reusing this class in our future videos. In the case, if we're gonna need some more functionality from our DNA Toolkit in the future, we're gonna go back and add that functionality to it. Alright, as always, thanks a lot for watching and listening. If you have any questions or suggestions, please leave them in the comment section below so everyone can benefit from your suggestions. If you want to discuss this code, Python, Bioinformatics, please feel free to join our Telegram or Matrix chat. You can find me on these social platforms listed on the screen right now. And feel free to check out my new website, rebelscience.club. It will have more or less the same content as in our videos, but I might go a little bit more in depth on some of the topics that we cover in our videos. Until next time, Rebel Coder, signing out.